Morning, folks. Getting ready to launch with, there's Jake. Say hi, Jake.
Social distancing, folks.
All right.
Hold on.
And
Watch
Trey.
the rod tip.
Trey, let's show us your new rock guard. We're gonna check out the rock guard for the 1103. Taking a wide path around Mr. Hirschman there.
Got it installed on our motor here. It's a two-piece design. You don't have to take anything apart on your motor to be able to install it. You just slide it right over the profile, tighten down the two bolts, and you're ready to go. Got the grass blaster on it, just like our other rock guard. Keep it pretty close to the prop to get that vegetation off of there once you go through it. It'll protect you from stumps and rocks and anything else that gets in your way. So we're gonna go out and do some more testing on it today.
And talk to me about this.
That's our new rugged inline mount. We call it the Rugged Inline Gen 2. We've taken the design of the original rugged inline mount and modified it so that it's a little stronger for the 1103 motor. Added some different features. There's a stow function. That's what this pin here is for. Pull this pin and you can slide this up in there and you can actually stow it with the pin, so you don't have to worry about raising it all the way up in the raised position and putting the strain on the rope. But it allows the power pole on top. We had to raise the power pole up 4 inches in order for everything to clear and to work well together. So it's a sturdy mount. I actually picked my kayak up from the mount, don't use the handle anymore. So we're gonna go out today and put it to use.
Nice.
This time we were in the same area. We were rolling crankbaits down the bank and bringing it across riprap, bouncing it off the bottom. And it was just a slow, steady retrieve. And the bites usually came after it popped off of a log or that riprap that's on the bottom here. And we were catching nice fish last year. Not a lot of them, but nice fish when we did get them. But it's one of those days where you just come out and plug away and get those fish where they're at. So we're using the Torpedo to hold our spot in the wind here and to move up the bank a little bit so we can move along and get fresh water.
So I got a deep diving square bill crankbait, and I'm trolling right now. I got the rod just out to the side. I'm looking at side imaging, marking stuff as I go. If something looks interesting, I might come back and drop a jig on it, but for now I'm covering ground. I'm in 16 feet of water, but my rod's pointed towards the shallow, so maybe I'm in 12. And I'm actually moving at 1.5 mile an hour, and it's just fast enough that I can feel that it keeps ticking the bottom. Actually, I just swung free of it. I'm gonna steer with my feet closer to shore, because I know I'm going the right speed to get that crank down. I think I just swung out in open water, which I don't want. I want it grinded the whole way. Now it's starting to grind. Look at that rod tip going. What I need it to do is go. It'll happen. All right, 1.6, a little bit too fast. I'm gonna slow up. Just, it's equivalent. It's crankbait equivalent of slow rolling a spinnerbait. And in 46.9 degree water, it can work. If it works, it's usually a big fish. So riprap, like what you can see on the bank behind me, is such an important feature or structure to fish in the spring. And what I want to show you here that I'm marking waypoints on is the deep edge, the outer edge. And I'm hoping we actually see a couple fish here, but if you look at the deep side where it tapers off, this edge right here, it's a really nice thing to be able to basically take your cursor and move over and just drop waypoints along the edge of that, the outer edge. And that gives you some sort of reference to how deep is that, where's the transition where that ends. I'm going to tuck in a little bit there. and then exit out of it, and we'll keep marking more. All right, I'm almost done creating my connect the dots of lots of little waypoints marking the edge, the outer edge. Actually, you can't see it right now. I'm gonna go to the bigger screen on side imaging and kind of steer out into deeper water. See if I can show that to you. It's what I had on there before. I'm actually not getting it to show up, but the concept now is that we go to the big screen and you connect the dots in your crankbait retrieve, or in what I'm about to try is throwing the jackhammer and just a series of hops. But yeah, you create this series of of dots along the shoreline, marking, and it's about 18 to 20 feet where the riprap stops. And you can see now where I've made several passes, and I can basically troll right along the edge of that. Although I might switch over to the jackhammer. I got an 1.25 ounce jackhammer, and I'll just hop it along that edge and pause it and fish it like a jig for a while. See what that does. I'm gonna use the I'm actually gonna play the wind. The wind is at my back. I'm gonna turn around and drag this line here and see if that doesn't, give them a little bit more time to eat it than the crankbait. Crankbait is bam 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 in their face and eat it now or it's gone, whereas a jackhammer with the palmetto bugs on it, let it linger there a little bit and just drift and drag, see if that does something. The other thing you can do is as things warm up, is get your lipless crankbait and just yo-yo on top of that line, whatever line you mark. You can do it with a grass line. I'm just doing it with the deep edge of the riprap. So all right, let's get the jackhammer out, see if that'll do it. Look at that big old head, big old floppy tail. Not to mention the big steak. Oh yeah, they like it stinky. Squish it around. It's almost the color of barbecue sauce. It doesn't smell like barbecue sauce. So haven't gotten any bites deep with the heavy jig, with a heavy bladed jig. I'm gonna try shallow with the finesse jig. This one's, I think, 3/16, and I'm put a little trailer on there. This is the Trick Shots with a Z. I like the ribs on it, like I like on most of their baits. Most of the Z-Man baits have ribs of some sort that allow you to really slather on the scent. So I think this one's designed as a drop shot bait, but it makes a nice trailer once I get it on there straight. Really jam it on there, make sure that plastic barb catches, and that'll kind of orient up on bottom like that. Paddle tail. This one's a 4.2 inch version. There's a shorter one. It's 3 something. Then I'm adjusting the little wire weed guard here just to kind of kick out. That way if I come across some brush, I have no worries sticking this down in there. Just let it tickle around in there and see what it pulls out. So the sun has come out gradually throughout the day, but it's out in force now, and water temperatures are coming up pretty quick. Trey went up lake a good bit, and he called me. He said, hey, I just saw a fish, easily 6 pounds, in less than 2 feet of water, hanging out, you know, right up next to a log. So I'm heading to the back of the cove, see if I can hopefully find a similar fish back here in the real shallow water as it's warming up real quick. I have been seeing in the brush along the shoreline a lot more activity from minnows and smaller panfish, just a whole lot more movement in general. So maybe time to fish shallow with the sun out. Oh yeah, finally got a good bite, moving shallow. Oh, that's a good one. Glad I took Trey's advice, just skipping the finesse jig up into the brush. And look how tentatively this fish is hooked. Just barely on there. Good. Hello, fishy. Okay, I've drifted into it. You can see the brush behind me. We're gonna take a closer look, and then we're gonna let this fish go back to his spot. So that kind of brush, I was sort of on the outside edge of it, and you can see it goes all the way. We got a lot of this to work, so glad we got a pattern started. Oh, don't you smell good? See ya. So that's the finesse jig that fish just hit. So long, linear, dark shape. And I'm just thinking this long, linear, dark shape is going to be easier to skip up in there. So that's a Z-Man sinkers or zinkers, whatever. You know what it is. That's going to skip up in there a little bit better. I've done this pattern in the springtime with this kind of shallow brush for years, but more often than not, I've done it with the paddle to kind of ease myself in there and then start backing myself out. It's really nice having the immediate throttle response of the Torqeedo to do the same thing. So I'll show you the procedure that I'm doing. I'm just kind of easing in at 3 to 9 watts, and I'm just enough to get a little bit of a glide in. If I have wind at my back, I want to back it up a hair. So all I do is bring it back, take it up to 6 watts, and then I'm starting a backwards drift. And that's just going to keep my line taut as I bring the bait out. That way I can see where the line's moving left or right, or has come slack and the fish is bringing it out to deeper water. I can really, you know, tell a lot about what's going on if I'm not pushing into it and the momentum of my paddling in there isn't making me crash it. So being able to pull back out is pretty important. And it starts right there. Yeah, it's a pretty fish. We got a pattern going, warming shallows, skipping the brush, about 3 1/4. Nice 3-pound, 3-ounce, 18-inch largemouth up in these shallows. Let's get her back in there. So I'm moving in at about 19 watts, and then without really putting in the reverse lock, I'm just backing up, hitting reverse, and skip it in there and just drag it out sort of against the wind. And I'm steering with the feet, kind of line up the next cast. I didn't like that one too much. See if I can get about 6 watts to push up against the, push back against the wind that's trying to jam me in there, and just get that in there. Oh, he's on the wrong side of that. All right, get over here. Get over here. That's why I use the heavier fluoro. Yep. I might have to put a new section of that on there because he was wrapped around it and I kept tension on him. Yeah, man. You need some? All right. This one's Canada Craw. I'm going to release him away from his friends. Let him breathe. Do this because they tend to go right back in there and freak out their buddies into not eating. So this is enough distance. He will get a chance to kind of regroup, and by the time he joins his buddies, which there's 3 of them out of that one group, and hopefully he's not looking so freaked out. I don't really know if this is gonna show up good on film, but it looks really nice in this light. I'm gonna skip one up in there and see how that line is kind of curved along the surface. I can definitely see if one starts moving with it. I'm gonna start my backwards drift with the prop, and by now it's gotten to the bottom, and if I have resistance, it's either on a branch or in a fish's mouth, and usually that slow backwards drift kind of reveals motion, left, right, out, if it's a fish. And this time it's not. They keep coming. Sunlight made a difference. Two feet or less. Way up in there. All right. That's a limit on one Z-Man Zinkers. One. How many other soft plastic stick baits can you say that you can get a limit out of one individual bait? We're going to keep it going, see how many more we can get on just one. spoke too soon on that last one when I said a limit on one zinker. Really the first one I got was on the finesse jig, but you know, one bait, 5 fish so far. Nice ones at that. That's Elastec for you. All right, taking him out of the area. All right, we're wrapping up the day. If it wasn't for your telling me, he called and said, I just saw a big one shallow. You saw one that was what? You think in the 6 pound range?
Yeah, at least 6 pounds.
Nice. Yeah, I was stuck on, had my mind set on fishing deep, fishing that riprap deep edge of the line, and it wasn't happening. So
yeah, that fish was in 2 foot of water by a stump at a ledge. So it was near deep water, but it was a stump with the roots sticking out.
And where I got those 6, it was close to the creek channel. It was like that clump of brush and bushes was connected to the creek channel right there. So I think they've just started to move up shallow. I'm just really surprised we get them that shallow in 49 to 50 degree water. That's pretty cool. So appreciate you sharing the intel. How you liking your 1103 for the first run?
This thing's awesome. I went all the way across the lake this morning just to try and find warmer water.
Yeah, he went way up. How many miles do you think you covered?
Probably at least 12.
You covered the whole lake anyways.
Right.
What's your percentage?
I'm at 20% right now.
Okay. I didn't go as far and I'm at 58%. So do you have any more 1103s in stock?
I don't.
You don't. They're gone. So we'll get more. They're coming. How'd your rock guard do?
Did good. I actually got in a little bit of grass today, the old grass that was dead, but it didn't even phase it.
Nice.
If I wouldn't have saw it, I wouldn't have known it was there.
Cool. Good day. See you, folks.